What can I even say about The Legend of Zelda? Spanning more than 25 years and keeping generation after generation of gamers engrossed in its massive worlds and epic quests, The Legend of Zelda series, with some notable non-canon exceptions, has been thoroughly excellent in just about every iteration. And sure, any random Zelda top 10 will sing the praises of Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, Majora's Mask, and Wind Waker, maybe Twilight Princess, but where the love for the portable Zeldas at, eh? I ask you. I know the DS Zelda games weren't the most beloved in the series, but what of Minish Cap? What of Link's Awakening? What of The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons? That's a name dropping. The Zelda Oracle games were two huge adventures crafted by Nintendo and Flagship, a subsidiary of Capcom. While the first Zelda Game Boy game, Link's Awakening, was a fun little portable offshoot similar to Link to the Past, the Oracle games innovated in all sorts of wacky ways, creating an adventure that was strange, new, and yet still right at home in the world of Zelda. There's so much depth and variety in these two games that I don't even know where to start. Completing the main quests, collecting all the magic rings, and doing all the side quests could eat so many hours of your life, and I've only got one video to tell you what I think about one of the games. So prepare, brave hero, for at the end of all transition screen, we set off for adventure and sleepy trees. Oh, he's so cute. Alright, right off the bat, out of the gate, into the wind, out of the bag, onto the bagel. From the beginning, you want to know how fancy this game gets with its presentation? He's on a horse. I'm on board with this game already, and you're on drugs if you don't think that looks good on a Game Boy Color. Seriously, how's that heroin treating you? One short animated cutscene later, our story begins with our hero waking up in the middle of a strange land. Some music can be heard faintly in the distance. Now, I want to show you something really cool about this game right off the bat. You're over here, music is barely audible. Link moves over here, music gets louder. Once he enters the campsite of merry men and women, the music hits full volume. Now, I don't know how many 8-bit games did this sort of thing, but it's still awesome. A cool part of how the story is told here is that you learn a little bit about how you ended up here from the bits of dialogue shared with you when you're talking with the various characters. After a while, though, your little dance party with this girl named Din gets interrupted by a sudden shroud of darkness when the main villain of the game shows up to get his evil on. Those men are dead. The main antagonist of this game, Onyx, appears and kidnaps Din, who turns out is the Oracle of Seasons. For some reason, if Onyx kidnaps her and buries the Temple of Seasons, that will ruin all of the weather and cause the world to go into chaos, eventually destroying the environment and all of the life in it. This is all told to us in exposition-y dialogue, but when the rest of this opening sequence features so much flashy, epic imagery, it's hard to complain. Once the evil clears up, Din's attendant Impa tells you that you're the chosen one, etc, save Din, stop Onyx, etc. while supplies last. What makes this part of the game so compelling is that this is basically the cutoff point for all the hyper-scripted story elements you're gonna see. Now, you're free to wander the world and see what's out there for yourself. And boy, is there a lot of things to see. Once you get a hold of your sword, you get to talk to the Maku tree, who, to be blunt, looks freaking awesome. He's so well animated and so full of character, and he's just the first of many cool characters you'll be seeing on this adventure. The world is simply huge, and there's so much variety here, from a flooded village to an underground world of creepy Grim Reaper people to a mountain full of Gorons. Everything is so bright and colorful, no matter what the current season is in the area you're exploring. And the season system adds even more visual variety. Every overworld area has 4 variations because of the 4 seasons. That's some serious attention to detail. The game's music is also really well crafted. Several songs are reused from the first Zelda Game Boy game, Link's Awakening, but the new songs that are added to the mix are absolutely fantastic. Every last one of the dungeons in this game has its own theme song. This game's music is so good, it literally made me stop dead in my tracks just so I could dance. I'm sorry, Din, but the rhythm is a tempting mistress. It's pretty plain to see that this game has a great world with lots of character to it. But looking and sounding good isn't the only stuff that makes this world worthwhile to spend your time in. Let's take a look at what makes this game tick. Hey viewer, I have a question. No, don't worry, it's not a question you actually have to answer. It's a rhetorical question, okay? Okay. Did you notice something about the opening of this game after I showed it to you? I woke up, talked it in, blah blah, dancing, merriment, yay. Good weather, broken temple sinking, this is bad. Better get a sword. It's here in this game. Well, that's taken care of. Time for adventure, yay! Gonna kill some sea life. Let's compare that to some other Zelda games. Link, you gotta find your bird.
Link, you gotta socialize with the other orphans.
Link, you gotta touch my goats.
Link, you gotta find the thing. Do the thing, Link.
Link, do the thing! Link, you're stupid!
I love Nintendo, but in recent times, they've been getting so obnoxious and handholdy with the early stages of their games that it's really been putting me off. And I love Oracle of Seasons because at no point does the game shepherd you around like a stupid little elf kid on a magical field trip. That's because this game isn't afraid to let you explore. I mean, God forbid you might find your way to excitement on your own. Am I right? When the intro's over and you're finally set free into the game world, there's not that much guidance given. Impa says meet up with the Mako tree. She doesn't give you much direction. You're gonna have to find the Mako tree on your own. When you wander into town, which is basically the only way you can go without hitting a dead end right now, you get to the door of the Mako tree and there's no way to get in. Your only clue as to how to gain entrance is to display courage somehow to get it to open. So you'll inevitably wander some more because the answer's not right in front of you. When you finally do wander out of town, the only place you can get to right now is the Hero's Cave. Hero's Cave, eh? That sounds like a place with courage in it. Exploring the Hero's Cave will eventually and inevitably have you stumbling across the sword. The whole cave is small and very linear, so that you're following the path the game wants you to go, whether you notice it or not. Once you have the sword and slay some bad guys with it, not only have you just been introduced to combat, you've also been introduced to using items in general. And keep in mind, you've been taught all this as well as the basics of how dungeons work, thanks to how the cave's laid out in just the first few minutes of really exploring the game. No one had to force feed it to you. No one ushered you around. You did it all by yourself. Congrats to you.
Here's a live centipede.
Exploration is core to this kind of game design. It was a big part of what made Link to the Past so good. You'd get little prompts here and there from Sarasrala, but they wouldn't patronize you or anything. You'd just be like, Link, dungeons are in these places. No, I'm not coming with you. I'm too old. Do it yourself. This world encourages you to mess around. Burn down shrubberies. You might find money, or you might find an old man that demands money because he was using the shrubbery as a door. How? When you get the Rod of Seasons, which is a big mystical item central to the plot of the game, it allows you to change the weather and thus the landscape, directly affecting how you can explore the world. Big, mighty trees that block your way become withered and dead during winter, allowing you to pass them easily. Large flowers that are dormant in other seasons come alive in spring, allowing you to leap off of them for a boost onto ledges. You know that old saying, it's about the journey, not the destination? This game lives by that mantra. Each new season you get control of improves your ability to just get around. Once you've gotten around though, there's a lot of awesome stuff to be seen in the dungeons as well. The game doesn't pull too many punches. Things like chasing blades and wall masters, which forcibly take you back to the entrance, are all here in full force. I like that. I like that the game isn't afraid to just toss you into the action and let you sort it out. Oracle of Seasons is just like, hey, I know Zelda. You know Zelda. You maybe want to make out a little? The first few bosses aren't very challenging though. The boss of the first dungeon can be defeated just by standing close to his horn and wailing on it, like Captain Ahab at SeaWorld. But I think this is a fair trade-off. Once again, the journey, in this case the dungeon, is where the meat of the challenge is. But it doesn't hurt that a lot of these bosses involve just a little bit of puzzle solving and intuition to get through the fight. You might be able to get by on just hacking blindly with your sword the first few times, but after that, you're going to have to actually think during your boss fights, and Navi's not going to be there to blandly suggest a solution for you either. Whether you're wrangling these squid monsters or escaping Goma's iron grip, the boss battles manage to be exciting and fun, even if they won't manage to kill you as much as the dungeons themselves. Even getting to the dungeons can be a challenging and rewarding experience. Several times on your quest you meet these animal friends that will help you along your way, and even better, one of them will stay available to summon for the rest of the game. And even betterer, what you do determines what animal you get to keep. For example, if you complete this dancing minigame enough times, you'll get Dimitri the Dodongo. If you buy a flute from a shop, you'll get to keep Moosh, the flying bear. If you just plow forth with reckless abandon like I did, you end up with Ricky, the incredibly awesome boxing kangaroo.
Yeah, let him taste the knuckles. Let him taste the knuckles, Ricky. Let him taste the knuckle.
I should also mention that exploring the overworld puts you on a journey fraught with peril, bald hipsters, and beautiful hooded women. But you do all of this at your own pace. You want to go on to the next dungeon right now? Go ahead. Or you can stop and plant magical seeds so you can grow trees that produce rings as fruit, then take them to the jeweler to find out what bonuses they give you. You can talk to more of the game's eclectic and charming cast to embark on a massive trading quest to get a better sword. You can tackle any number of side quests in the game, all of which make the game world feel that much bigger and more alive. This is a Zelda game that lives and breathes. But how does it stack up as a game in one of the most beloved series of all time? Let's break it down. Here's the good stuff about The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons. First off, the music is pretty close to perfect. Every dungeon has its own distinct theme music, and every last track is memorable. Expect to get a few songs stuck in your head after playing this game. Second, the game is based around pure, unadulterated exploration. You might get prompts here and there from characters like the Maku tree, but for the most part, you're on your own and it feels good. Third, the game has insane replay value, with all of its collectible rings, side quests, and secrets. Beating the game is one thing, but doing everything there is to do will take up a big chunk of your life. But every game has its downsides, so here's the downsides to Oracle of Seasons. First off, the game has a somewhat steeper difficulty curve than most modern Zelda games. It's not brutal by any stretch of the imagination, but it stands to reason that this game is kind of for people who are already familiar with Zelda to begin with. That's not to say people who've never played Zelda won't be able to enjoy it, but it does help to know a little bit about previous Zelda games beforehand. Second, I really can't come up with more than one negative thing to say about the game. Seriously, I've been spending days trying to come up with something other than that one negative, drawing a blank. Oracle of Seasons is an incredible game. There's very little I can say about it that wouldn't just be more praise. The world is massive, the story is engaging, the dungeons are fun, and everything revolves around giving the player room enough to explore in a way that just feels so right. The insane amount of side quests and extras, like the rings, encourage you to peek around every corner and just find stuff. Wandering around aimlessly makes the game feel better instead of making it boring. So what else can I say? Tubular! No game is perfect, but this game is pretty close to the best thing that you could get on a Game Boy system. That's why overall, I'd give The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons a 10 out of 10. You can download it from the eShop for $5.99, or you could get it in its original physical cartridge format used on sites like Amazon, where I've seen it for $20. Really? $20 plus $4 shipping. Go digital with this one, I guess, right? So at this point, I bet you're wondering, what about Oracle of Ages? Well, if you got 30 seconds. Oracle of Ages is very similar to Oracle of Seasons. The game's story and world are completely different, though the design tends to lend itself a bit more towards puzzles than action. Oracle of Ages is also a bit harder than Seasons 2, but that shouldn't be much of a problem as both games are reasonable in their difficulty. The game revolves around time travel mechanics, and it handles them in a very clever way that allows you to see the consequences of your actions as you save the world bit by bit. It's very good, it costs the same as Seasons, and you should buy both to get the full experience and reach the true ending, which I will not spoil here. Hope that ties up any loose ends for you. That's all for this episode of Old School on the Go. If you liked what you saw, be sure to rate this video, maybe subscribe to my channel, and if you got something to say, make sure you sound off in the comments. Until next time, I'm Mike, and this is Old School on the Go. Keep gaming!